Okay. Awesome. Cool. So we'll get started. It's 5:05 now. We're gonna get going, and people might join in, and so we'll let them join in as at their leisure. But we'll get started just to respect everyone's time. So I want to welcome everybody to our first PTA meeting of the year. It's been a wild couple of months, so we haven't met together in a while. So it's great to see some familiar faces and some new faces. For those who don't know me, my name is Sean Garcia. I'm the current president of the PTA. I was the vice president last year. So I know some of y'all, we've worked together in the past. It's good to see y'all. And so we're gonna do a quick kind of intro section before we get into the agenda. So we're just gonna go around and everyone can have an opportunity to introduce themselves. So you can just say your name, where you're from. Maybe you're not from the neighborhood that Star is located. Your child's name or grade, if you want to share that, and then also too something fun about yourself that you want to share that people might not know. So whoever wants to go first, go ahead and go for it.
Well, hello everybody. My name is Marina. I am the vice president. My son is in second grade. His name is Ian, Mr. I Know Everything. Other than that, something that you don't know about me. Well, pretty much I stay quiet. I keep to myself. And if something starts off, you see me hiding in the background. So pretty much that's me.
Nice, Marina. Thank you. Anyone else can go. Just jump on it, popcorn style.
Hi, my name is Michelle Livingston. My daughter's name is Nadia Williams. She's in kindergarten. This is her first year at Star. Something fun about me, I guess I sing in the house.
Awesome, Michelle. Good to meet you. Welcome to Star. You're breaking up a little bit, but I think you said your daughter is in kindergarten and is new to the Star Academy.
Yes, she
Yes.
is.
Awesome. Good to meet you,
Yes,
Michelle. All right, cool.
Thank you.
So let's keep going. And also too, if you can't get on the mic right now for whatever reason, you can also drop it in the chat. But whoever wants to go for it next, go for it.
Hey guys, my name is Brenda Colon. I am the PTA secretary. I have two children at Star. One, Jairo, he's in second grade. The other is I just became a preschool teacher, so that's very fun and interesting. And I'm very goofy. If you don't know me, I have a very sarcastically witty humor.
Awesome. And Brenda's second child is Jairo. All right. it went out. All right. Go whoever wants to go for it next.
Hi, my name is Miriam. I have two children in Star Academy. One in third grade, the other one is in first grade. I'm coming. And she corrects me all the time. She's in first grade. And it's good to see all these parents again. I have two dancers in the house. So it's what I like to. And I'm very happy with the Star Academy and the work that these people have put into it. I couldn't do it. My blessing to you all. And welcome.
Thanks, Miriam.
Hi, Ryan and Liz Wantaja. Our daughter is Gertrude Wantaja Gertie. She is in first grade. We live out in Kensington, Brooklyn, so we've got a nice commute every morning coming in.
Okay, and our fun fact is that this was really stressful to come up with some sort of fact no one knows. We got nothing, but this is Gertie.
Good to see y'all. All right, cool. We keep going. And in the chat, we have Matt. Matt is Mathins, right? Mathins dad or Mathan?
Matan.
Matan's dad in pre-K. Awesome. Pre-K parents. Good to see you.
Sean, what was the question again?
So we're just doing a quick intro, who you are, where you're from, your child, and something cool or fun about yourself that you want to share.
Okay, I'll go. Darlene Cameron, principal of the Star Academy. I have approximately 200 children. Many of them are yours. I am originally from Queens, New York, but one thing that a lot of people don't know about me is that my family's Haitian. So my mother and father were both born and raised in Haiti, and came here as a very young couple and had 3 kids. So yeah, I'm really proud of being Haitian. I went to Haiti last year with my husband and my niece. First time for my niece ever going to Haiti, and she was around 17 years old. So it's an important part of my life.
Awesome. Sac passe. All right.
Ma boule.
Hi, my name is Christine. Most people call me Chris. I am originally from New Jersey, and now I'm a transplant here in Brooklyn with my daughter Maya, this is her first year at Star. It's an interesting transition for her because she is a dual cochlear implanted child who is doing everything fully remotely, and she's having the time of her life getting to know everyone because she's probably the only person that's more bubbly than I am. A fun fact about me is the principal Cameron stole my fun fact. My family is from Haiti, and this is the first time that we are trying to teach my daughter Creole, French, and now Spanish, now that she has learned English and really fully understood language for the first time in her life. So it's going to be interesting this year.
Awesome. Thank you. Anybody could go next. Maureen, go for it.
Hi, my name is Maureen. I had a former child years ago that was a Star Academy student, and now I have a 7-year-old who's in 2nd grade. That's why we enrolled the 2nd grade, the one that's in 2nd grade, because I've already been to Star. I'm very familiar with Miss Freeman and Miss Cameron. Used to be Mr. Spain when my child was there. And so I've had a great experience the first time around, and definitely wanted my daughter to have the same experience her sister did. So that's why we enrolled her there. And I'm from Brooklyn.
All right, cool. A few more. If you want to just drop your intro in the chat, that is cool. But it's always great to see faces. Oh, Lisa, go for it.
I'll go for it. Hi, my name is Lisa, and I am co-president at the neighborhood school along with Karen O. And I have 2 children who are currently in 1st grade at TNS. And I live in Brooklyn. I'm in downtown Brooklyn right now. And I'm originally from Jamaica. I was actually a illegal Jamaican immigrant, but now I'm a citizen. And I've been for a while, so no one call it INS or anything. But yeah, that's pretty much about me.
Awesome. And shout out to TNS. Karen, I know you're on here too. I don't know if you can chat, but it's great to have TNS on this call. And if y'all don't know, for those who are newer parents, Star shares the building with the neighborhood school. And there's a lot of collaboration between the 2 schools, especially our PTAs, where we're trying to figure out how to work closely with one another and support one another.
I'll go next. My name is Helen Arias. My daughter is Yasmin Giovi. She's in 1st grade. I am the PTA treasurer, and we live in East Harlem. And a fun fact about me, I mean, my family's Costa Rican, and when we go on vacation, all I do is eat everything. That's it.
Awesome. We still have a couple more people joining in. For those who are just jumping in, we're just doing quick intros, name, student's name, fun fact about yourself. We have a few more folks. If you want to go ahead and say it on the chat, or if you want to say it on the video, that's fine. Just getting to know one another on this first call together for the year. I also am throwing the agenda and our treasurer's report into the chat. So you can go ahead and pull that up when we get to it. Ashley, you want to do intro?
Hi, everyone. My name is Ashley. I'm your sergeant at arms. And welcome to our first meeting.
All right, cool. So yeah, so go ahead and definitely drop your name and child's name in the chat, especially for the minutes. We wanted to take a little extra time just kind of introducing ourselves this meeting. We won't do that every meeting because it takes up a bit of time. But since it's our first time kind of reconnecting for the year, we wanted to have some face-to-face. I remember last year as a pre-K parent, just getting introduced to the PTA and other parents is a big part of being part of the STAR family. And we don't really have that this year because we're virtual, remote. So when we have these few opportunities to talk to each other as parents, it's great to hear more about everybody and get to know each other a little bit better. So yes, so again, my name is Sean Garcia. I'm the current president of the PTA. Thanks again for joining tonight. We did a poll a couple weeks ago and came on this new time. We used to meet after drop off in the morning at 8:25, 8:30. But of course, things are different this year. And so definitely appreciate everyone's flexibility. And thanks for responding to that poll. We had a few dozen people reply, which was awesome. And we came to this new time slot. And this is kind of going to be the time slot going forward for a little bit until things, shake out to be a little bit different. So I put in the chat, I put the agenda for today. Just a quick overview of the agenda, what we're going to be going into. So we just did some introductions. Next, we're going to go into Darlene's principals report. Then we're going to go over the new business for the PTA this month. We'll go quickly through our treasurer's report. It's not going to be too detailed this go around because we haven't done anything yet. And then we also have some final elections for school leadership team representatives. So we'll have 2 more people on the SLT potentially. And then we're gonna leave time at the end to just have discussion, question and answer period. And also anyone has any ideas or proposals, we can bring it up at the end as well. Cool, so let's get into it. So Darlene, you wanna go for it, principal's report?
Yes, I do. I think this report will be pretty short and sweet because from what I can tell, most of you are actually on our town hall meeting recently. So I wanted to just share with everyone that the chancellor has announced that there will be only one opt-in period in on December 7th, essentially. And we as a school, our school leadership team met and decided that we will provide one additional opt-in period in the winter. We're thinking that this will probably happen around February or March. Or we also think that there's a possibility that the chancellor will decide to add an additional opt-in period. So we'll wait and see. But if the chancellor does not choose to do that, as an individual school, we will be providing that option for families that want to wait a little while before they have their child return to school for blended learning. We wanted to just make sure that families didn't feel pressured at this time. And we also, really want to make sure that for those families who have concerns around perhaps their child is asthmatic and they're worried about the cold weather, we wanted to give an opportunity for those children to be able to come back to school when the weather changes and when parents feel more comfortable. So knowing that, part of coming back to school is random COVID testing that's happening every month at school. And so we are strongly encouraging families to sign a COVID testing consent form when their child does opt back into blended learning. And so we're also asking families to really, be mindful and cautious of the fact that we will be having kids wear masks all day unless they're eating. We will be social distancing the students. The windows will be open for ventilation. And so this means that in some of the classrooms, children may want to wear a sweater or bring an extra sweater in case it gets chilly in the room. The heat is on, but when the windows open in the winter, there's still, that little bit of chill in the air. So we want to make sure that children are comfortable and that parents are aware of all of the safety measures that we're putting in place. Having said that, I think, so the opt-in period, the time to decide whether or not you want your child to return to blended learning ends on they say it's November 15th, which is a Sunday. I'm not sure why they selected a Sunday. So for our school, it will be November 16th, the following Monday. And so either way, as a parent, we're asking every family to fill out the learning preference survey. We have a survey that we've posted on JoJo. Our teachers have posted it on Google Classroom. It's even posted as an assignment for parents to do. And so it's important that you fill out our school survey. It will link you to the Department of Education's learning preference survey, but we're asking you to also fill out our survey as well. We're finding that our survey is more accurate. So for example, today we checked the Department of Education and they have 12 surveys turned in from families. We have about 100 turned in from our survey, which links you to the DOE survey. So you'll still be able to, go through that process, but we just want to really urge that people use our survey so that we have just the accurate numbers. After November 16th, we'll have the following weeks to do our programming. During the week of November 23rd, we'll let every family know what their child's schedule will be. And so there are two cohorts, cohort A, which is Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and cohort B, which is Thursdays and Fridays. And Mondays are alternating. So one Monday it's an A week, the following Monday it's a B week, A week, B week, etc. for Mondays. So if you have any questions, I'll be here for the question and answer session at the end. So please feel free to write down any questions you have, and I'll be here to answer at the end during that time. But thank you so much. Thanks, Sean.
Thanks, Darlene. And yeah, definitely, I think during the Q&A period, we'll open that discussion up a little bit more. If people have particular questions, we can address them then. All right, cool. Thanks, Darlene. So going into some of the new business for us this month, this again is our first meeting of the year. So there's a lot of stuff to catch up on. For those who didn't know, basically, when COVID hit last spring, we attempted to get some stuff organized. It was a little hard. The school was trying to still figure out what it was doing, and we just we didn't have the momentum to make it happen. And of course, the beginning of this year, many of y'all participated in a special election. So we had a special election in October, a couple weeks ago. And so now we're finally getting the ball rolling. So there's a lot of stuff that we still have to get in order. We've had 2 executive board meetings since the election. So that's been really helpful to organize ourselves and to get everything going on the back end. And some things that we have in the pipeline, the first one being our Scholastic Book Fair. It's annually we do at least 2 Scholastic Book Fairs a year. Some years we've done 3. We were scheduled to do 3 this year, but we're probably going to consolidate it to 2 because we weren't able to get our first one done in October as it was initially planned. So the Scholastic Book Fair this year is going to be happening virtually. It's a 2-week book fair. It's going to be starting on November 23rd, which is a Monday. And it's a virtual store basically. And when the store launches, there's like a cool interface for families and students to go through so they feel like they're in a you know, it's like a 360 view of a pre-made bookstore. So you feel like you're walking through a bookstore. So they're kind of trying to mimic the experience for kids, so they can look through the bookstore and pick the books that they want and all that good stuff. And of course, everyone can order from home. The books will be delivered to your home. The one caveat with that is that there has to be a minimum of a $25 purchase of books in order to receive free shipping and handling. And that doesn't include novelties and other items. It's for books, so it has to be $25 minimum books. But if you're having any kind of obstacles with that, if that's a thing that is restricting you from placing an order because you can't do the order plus the shipping and handling, we really, really encourage you to reach out to the PTA and we can figure out some workarounds for you. So don't feel discouraged about that shipping and handling component. It's a 2-week thing, so it's gonna be going for 14 days. And over the 14 days, we're gonna be putting out a bunch of reminders, and we're gonna be providing like technical support for parents and caregivers so that they can do the online ordering. And also too, there was a idea that was put forward at the executive board meeting that to see if people were in approval of somewhere between $100 to $150 of PTA funds being used towards the purchase of some books so that we can provide books to families who might not be able to afford the books that they want to get, and having that little PTA support of $100 to $150. So that's something that we kind of have to discuss tonight. And then when the book fair is over, the donations that are collected, the revenues that's connected by the PTA is 25% of the overall profits before tax. That's a little lower than in the past. In the past, you know, depending on how much was sold at the book fair, determine the percentage that we got back. So like last year, we had a really successful book fair in the winter, and we were able to get 55% of the profits. But it's a little less work, right? We don't have to do a setup. We don't have to have people, you know, physically in a book fair selling books and handling registers and all that kind of stuff. It's a lot of work for those who have been involved in the book fairs. You know, it's like a full-time gig for a week or two. So we don't have that same kind of pressure this go around, but there's no minimums. So it's 25% of whatever is sold. So that's great. And that's less pressure on us as a PTA. But we definitely want to see if there's folks who are on this call who are interested in volunteering to help organize the book fair and support the book fair. So, you know, like a little small committee to get together and kind of go over the logistics and the best way to deliver the book fair. So we're going to be kind of asking who's down for that as well. Any questions on the book fair? Or any ideas on how you think it might be successful this go around virtually?
Actually, I have a question. I'm curious if the book fair, is that something that can be shared with, let's say, relatives who want to purchase books for our child? Like whatever link that Scholastic sends us, can we share it outside of the, Star Academy community?
Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, it's always been for the past 2 years or so, there's this website that we get, like a link that we get that people could do online purchases. It's always existed, but we haven't pushed it as much because we're trying to, you know, organize stuff in person. But now I think that is a great strategy. If we could reach out to friends, family, share the link with them. It's a open link on the internet, so anyone can make a purchase. That'd be great. And maybe even there'll be people who are not family and friends or family and relatives, but people who want to like buy books and gift books to start kids and make like a $500 donation of book purchases. That's something that we can definitely support as well. And some people are dropping in the chat that they're down to help with the effort. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Thanks, Liz. All right, cool. So how do people feel about that? I think we said $150. I think Brenda, right? That was your idea. $150 of PTA money to purchase some books. What has happened in the past is that Scholastic used to give us basically when parents would make a purchase, they could donate their change back to the PTA, and we would use that change, right? So like the purchase was $5.85. That 15 cents can get donated to the PTA. And at the end, we would take that money raised, which is around $100, $150, and we would use it to buy books for families who needed it. So basically that is not happening this go around because we're doing the virtual book fair. So we're seeing if people are in approval of us doing it out of the PTA funds directly.
So yeah, so it was ranging from 100 to 150 for any families that wanted to come forth and ask the PTA, whether in a private message or just reach out to Ms. Cameron or whoever, that they would like books. So this will go especially for around the holiday time for families that would want books but can't really afford the shipping, or can't just really afford a variety of books, that with the funds from the PTA helps them receive books for their children in whatever grade, not just necessarily 1 or 2 grades.
So if no one was opposed to that idea, I think the committee, the group that gets together to organize the book fair would figure out how to best organize that, and how to poll people if they needed books and all that kind of stuff. So is there any objections to the $150? Okay, no objections. So we'll motion to get the $150 approved. Anyone can second that motion?
Actually, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Isn't 150 kind of low, like with all the kids in the school? Isn't that price point kind of low? Because each book is maybe ranging from 4 all the way up to 8, depending on what kind of book it is.
Yeah, the only reason that we said that number initially is because that's the number that we've worked with in the past with that change collection that I was talking about. But it could be higher for sure, or we could approve the 150. And if the committee feels that there's a need for more money to get approved, they can reach out to the executive board, and there's some wiggle room in our bylaws to approve some additional funds. So we can do like 150, but potentially it could be more. And then we just report back on that in our December treasurer report, if that's cool, folks.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I also think it's great that everyone's going to be online, because then you'll be able to see which students were able to buy books and which students haven't been able to engage at all with the book fair, because that was also a way for us to know which students weren't able to receive a book.
Yeah, that's a great point.
So even we can just increase it, I'm sorry, like in increments of 50. So if 150 is not enough, then we up it to 200, 250, like that, just to keep it, clear.
Awesome. So Dina dropped in the chat, what about the readathon? So the readathon is something that we've worked with the SLT with in the past to organize. We haven't been able to talk about it, but it's something that we could potentially try to organize soon. We were trying to, when we were thinking about the upcoming events, think about like, what realistically we could deliver on, and what we had the capacity to do. So maybe the readathon, we can talk about it a little bit later in the open floor discussion, and maybe it's something that we can press for in December, or maybe even more realistically, like in January, we could try to do the readathon. But that's a great point. A readathon is something that we try to do every year. All right, cool. So there's some people that dropped in the chat that they were interested in volunteering to help organize the book fair. If you are interested and you didn't get to drop it in the chat yet, go ahead and drop it in there, because Brenda's monitoring it, so she could put your name on a list, and then we'll send out an email follow up after this and try to organize a meeting to get the Scholastic Book Fair Committee going. All right, cool. So the next thing on the agenda is just a report back from the President's Council.
I'm sorry, Sean, I don't want to interrupt, but we just need a second motion on
that's right.
for the 150 funds for families that are unable to afford books.
I second that motion.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Brenda.
Brenda,
right, cool.
you're on mute.
I'm sorry. Who was that that seconded? I didn't get.
Seconded.
Okay, thank you, Ashley.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Cool. So the President's Council is basically once a month, all the presidents in the district get together to talk about the different things that are going on their schools and how things are happening at their schools. So I just wanted to let people know one of the biggest points of discussion was the same thing that Darlene was speaking about. A lot of people concerned about the opt-in process that the chancellor and the mayor are now proposing. It went from 4 opt-in potential, periods throughout the year to just 2. So there's a lot of concern district-wide about that. So me and Darlene were talking about this too. Like we are pretty sure that there'll be a big pushback from parents and schools on this thing. So the chancellor should probably be wise and make a change to that. So that was a big thing that was discussed. Another thing that was discussed was there's a citywide initiative of different parent leaders trying to work with, or they're trying to source different organizations that do Wi-Fi bandwidth expansion. There's a big issue citywide, especially in housing developments and NYCHA, with Wi-Fi and bandwidth. And so, for the remote learning, a lot of kids are not able to participate. There's issues of access. And that's something that we never want. Especially, us as a Title I school, we don't want kids not able to learn because they can't get strong enough bandwidth or they don't have access to technology. So there's some efforts citywide to work with some organizations that are increasing bandwidth by drawing like antennas on different rooftops throughout the communities that our schools are in. The Lower East Side is one of the main districts that they're trying to do that in. So we'll keep y'all posted on that. Also too, is there anything that y'all feel you want other schools in the district to know about? So like when we go to these president council meetings, is there anything that you want from your perspective, the district to talk about? You could think about it too, and you could drop it in the chat later. Yep, there's still students who don't have devices. I think Star, we have like a dozen kids, right, who still don't have devices. So those are still some pressing issues. All right, cool. So yeah, so think that over and know that there is those forums. So what we are talking about here in Star is talked about on a district level, and then it's talked about on a citywide level. And me and other people are representatives on those bodies. So it's great to have that dialogue. Nice. Pearl says she's down to volunteer. Awesome. Cool. So next point on the agenda, one of the things that we have been talking about is the development of a mutual aid fund. And so what this would be basically is coming up with creative ways to fundraise and source money and develop a fund that the PTA is organizing that we can use to support our parents and families who are in need. So if anyone gets into some financial trouble and they need, emergency funds for whatever it is, we'll have a mutual aid fund that we organize that we could potentially release some money to folks in need. This is a big, big, big project. There's a lot of things that have to happen with it logistically. For those who know, who were here last year, Jody and Darlene organized like a really emergency fund. We're able to collect donations, I think somewhere near $1,500 from parents and friends of the STAR community. And we're able to support different parents and families who are in need because of the crisis and other reasons. And so we were like, all right, let's see if we can replicate that. And also let's see if we can organize it as a PTA and, make it so that all the funds are transparent and the process for people to apply for the funds is transparent. But this way we can really support each other. So one of the things is, one, what do people think of that idea, creating a mutual aid fund? And two, if we were to go forward with something like that, it would take a lot of planning. So, think about maybe that's something that you want to participate and volunteer with. So what are people's thoughts on a mutual aid fund?
I think that sounds great. My main question is that something that the PTA is technically allowed to do? Just my understanding of like different ways that like schools and PTAs can spend money. I could be wrong, but I thought the PTA was strictly about like student programming stuff. So again, 100% all for it. I just want to make sure that we can actually do this.
Yeah, great point. There's a little bit of, I've been reaching out to different presidents at different PTAs, and depending on the city you're in and the county and all this kind of stuff, there are certain ways to handle funds and distribution of funds. And if you're giving money directly or if it's purchasing goods and services for people. So the committee would have to talk through all that and figure out the best routes. It might also be like the mutual aid fund might be actually connecting with community organizations that are already doing this work, and curating all that information and becoming like a support network for parents to help them navigate the different services that already exist, which Darlene and Jody already go above and beyond and kind of already do that work. So we're trying to alleviate the labor a little bit off of their backs, and take it on as a task for the PTA. Yes, there is loopholes. Good point in the chat. Karen said, TNS president, that she also heard that direct disbursement of funds is not allowed. So yeah, we'll have to figure
This
out
is Karen. Sorry, I'll just interject that I've talked to a couple schools in Brooklyn that have done it, and the way they've done it is set up, a parent sets up a GoFundMe, so it's definitely separate. And then they were just giving cash awards out that were like $100, and people would just fill out a Google form. There were no questions asked, and then it was just straight cash. Another school, I think BNS, Brooklyn New School, might have done it where I think the way to get around it with the PTA is that you can give out gift cards to like Target. So that could be another way. And TNS is also exploring kind of what our options are for that. I don't know if there's also interest, because we're both schools, on setting up like a free fridge. But I've set up one in our community and stuff where we had talked about this like very briefly with school lunch stuff. And rather than throwing away all the food at the end of the day, making that available for families to take.
awesome ideas. Any other thoughts on the mutual aid fund?
I mean, I just wanted to say something about the staff-free fridge idea. I really actually like that idea, because where I would see there was when Carmine would have after-school programs, and at the end of the day, they would have all this food left over, and they had to toss it. So I think if there would be some type of way for that fridge to be outside, it would be great, because that way, you don't see all this stuff go to waste. So I don't know if that would be possible. I find that to be a really great idea.
Yeah, Darlene, is there some regulations around that, or is it just like a capacity, like having people to man and operate food distribution?
So I think it's two different things. When we're talking about just, regular food distribution, we don't have the capacity in terms of, school staff to do that, but the building is available, right? And so if there was a way for, a group of volunteers to be able to, be responsible for, I guess, stocking the fridge, checking it, cleaning it out, I think that, we could definitely work on that. I'm not sure how it works with the refrigerator being outside, because from what I've seen in Brooklyn, like people have fridges outside. I don't know how the electricity works, but I'm sure our custodial engineers could figure that out. The distribution of school lunch food is where things get dicey, because technically speaking, we're supposed to throw the food away, and we're not supposed to give it to give it out after a certain time, or after the temperature has gone down, or even just to the public. But I have seen other schools where they set up like kind of a line in the back of the school, in the back of the kitchen. And I don't know if it's school staff or parent volunteers that are helping to distribute, but I have seen people distributing school lunches out of schools, out of one particular school in our district. I'm not sure how. I'm not sure if it's allowed. Let's put it that way. But I can look into it and find out from those principals how that's happening and how they get it to work. If it is something that we are allowed to do, great. If it's something that is kind of just being done to just support people and despite the rules, then I'm definitely willing to break the rules. But I'm not sure if our kitchen staff would be willing to break the rules. So I think we would have to get around them. And they are their own department. I can't really tell them what to do. They would have to kind of agree to this. But I could definitely, be a part of those conversations and talking with them and speaking with them about that for sure. I'm more than happy to do that.
Awesome. And by break the rules, we mean moving in different directions and finding angles, because we are recording this meeting.
I mean, doing what's right based on our
Exactly.
values and what's
There we
right
go.
and what's best for people, and providing access to people who need it and who don't have the resources, because we're the community that does that.
Exactly. Awesome. All right, cool. So maybe this is a longer conversation that we can keep brainstorming on, just so that we don't take up the whole agenda going over it. But I just realized there's a lot of new people who are on this call that we don't have your email or phone number. So if you can drop it in the chat. If you don't want to show it to everybody, you can direct message me or Brenda, and we can get you on our listserv. So that way, if people are down to volunteer for the book fair, be part of a committee that talks about mutual aid and all this kind of stuff, we can get you on that list and get you part of those conversations. All right, cool. So then we'll get back to that and keep that as a running idea. The next thing on our agenda is the Thank Our Lucky Stars event. This is an annual potluck dinner that we've done at Star Academy. So somewhere around the holidays, late November, we have a family potluck, and people, contribute what they can, and we, set up it on our cafeteria, and it's a lot of fun. Families get to hang out, we dance, we play games, all that kind of stuff. The kids do some arts and crafts, writing down values and things that they care about on stars and all this kind of stuff. It's a great event, but of course we have the restriction this year that we can't do it in person, so we are going to be doing it virtually. And instead of like a potluck, the idea that the board was throwing around was more so just having a evening of family events. So we could have breakout rooms with bingo in this room, a dance party in that room, and that kind of stuff. Also, the dates that we were looking at were actually in early December. So for those who participate in Thanksgiving or those kind of holiday dinners, if they wanted to share a family recipe or a cultural recipe or something like that, that's something that we could curate and share around that event. So, people can try new recipes for the holidays. So any thoughts on the Thank Our Lucky Stars event and some cool ways to do it virtually that we might have not brainstormed already?
Yes, only because we've done this for my school site with parents. So now that it's virtually, and Sean already touched base that people could share recipes, maybe if a parent wants to give the recipe ahead of time for this event, we could actually put a school PTA cookbook for together just for everybody to have, just to try out and stuff. So we did it on my site, and it was very successful. We had different cultures, different, really, really different type of foods. So I think that would be fun if anybody else was interested to just share like one quick family recipe that everybody could just kind of learn more about. That would be great.
That's awesome. And yeah, and so the dates we were looking at, we usually do it on a Friday. So the dates we were looking at were December 4th and December 11th. We're going to be putting out a poll about these dates to see when parents would want to participate. So be on the lookout for that poll. The one thing I would say, December 4th, there's no events around that date, but it's a little closer, so it's a little bit tighter to organize around. But there's some pros and cons to that. December 11th, it's further. There's a little bit more time to organize for it. But on December 10th, we're potentially doing a COVID commemoration evening event, or event that day, organized by a couple of parents and Jody. So that might be tight, putting 2 events back to back like that. But when the poll goes out, we'll detail that stuff, and you can vote on which date makes sense. And then also too, we're looking for volunteers who want to help out with that and organize the events that will be happening that evening. But it's going to be a great way for our STAR community to get together, celebrate whatever holiday you celebrate, and just be together as a STAR community. Did I miss anything on that? Ashley, you've been a big organizer around this event in years past. Anything you wanted to add? She looked at me like, no, I'm good.
No, I actually think, as Brenda had mentioned, I actually think that making a cookbook is actually a great idea to share with the families. I think one major point that we had during our exec board meeting was that we wanted to make the whole school feel welcomed in sharing these dishes and participating in the breakout rooms that, you know, we would like to have. It's the same thing as if we were in school and they would have, you know, the music playing, or, you know, like Sean had mentioned, like a bingo, or, you know, some other events, some other activities that, you know, we might have in motion. But I think that everything was pretty much covered. I think we also like to, I think as a community, we really like to enjoy each other's dishes and learning more about each other's cultures. So I think we wanted to do that more as a community. So, and we felt it was a little more easier and smoother since it was virtually, and a lot of parents can participate in the event.
Yeah, definitely. That's one of the silver linings with all this virtual stuff, is more parent participation, which is great. All right, cool. So moving on in the agenda, school pictures. A lot of people have been asking about school pictures, what's going to happen with school pictures this year. So we've reached out to the people that we've worked in the past with about school pictures and seeing how they operate at other schools. We had a lot of discussion at executive board meetings and talked to Darlene about this. And kind of the consensus that we were coming to was trying to organize in-person pictures is going to be too hard logistically. Just getting kids together. I mean, you know, how many kids are actually in the school? You're going to have class pictures with, like, you know, 20% of the class standing in the picture, socially distanced. It's going to be a little awkward. So in any case, we're reaching out to different companies that actually support parents contributing school pictures. So, like, doing the school picture in your home, and then the company, you know, puts a new backdrop, potentially can Photoshop classes together, get the heads together and do that back end work. So we're doing some research on that. And at our next PTA meeting, we'll be able to report back on the different businesses that we found that help with that. It's also something that we might be able to do internally. If people are very skilled with, you know, Photoshop and all this kind of stuff, we might be able to make an internal kind of group within the parent community to just do it on our end. But we're also going to see what the prices are that companies are offering and all that kind of stuff, so we can weigh the different options. But that's kind of like what we're thinking is the best bet. And then come the spring, and potentially living in a new world, and you know, immunizations, all this kind of stuff, vaccines, we might be able to revisit the discussion of doing like in-person stuff. Any questions or concerns about school pictures?
Wait, so when do you think more or less, is it something that's going to happen earlier in the school year, in the spring, that you're thinking more or less of the school pictures could be?
So yeah, so we're gonna try to organize like the submission by parents and all that stuff. We're gonna try to organize that over the next month or two, so over December and January, and see if we could get like Photoshop school pictures by like January or something like that. And then in terms of doing in person, we kind of just have to see how things pan out, right? Potentially entering a second wave of the pandemic, potential vaccines on the way. You know, we just kind of have to see and revisit the subject. But probably, you know, when it gets warmer, we'll have more options, potentially doing stuff outside and all that kind of stuff. So that's probably how it's going to play out.
I mean, isn't there any way they could possibly get pushed the pictures to maybe like Mayish, so that way it could be set out outside possibly, if any way, so that way the kids, it doesn't have to be photoshopped, or the kids will have the option, you know, like they did in the beginning of the school year, where, you know, the meet and greet, where kids could come certain days and they can, you know, they can take pictures certain days, certain classes could take pictures. Could that be an option that could be visited in like later on in the year? So that way this whole Photoshop thing doesn't happen, because it's kind of like, ugh.
Yeah, no, for sure. And Ryan also mentioned in the chat that he knows some groups that have done some outdoor pictures, and logistically it kind of worked out well. So I think when the weather gets a little bit better, we can talk about the in-person stuff. But we were just concerned if we were trying to organize it like right now before the holidays, still a small percentage of kids in the school, still a lot of restrictions on, you know, getting groups of kids around each other. But we want to get school pictures organized. And that's a PTA thing. For those who don't know, the PTA has historically been the one that organizes school pictures and all that good stuff. That's why we're talking about it tonight. All right, cool. So we'll get back to the school pictures, and we'll get back to y'all next month about doing some digital stuff temporarily. All right, cool. So really quick, Helen, you just want to report on what's going on with our bank account, and then we could do some voting on the SLT.
Sure. I mean, it's gonna be quick because there really hasn't been any activity, monthly or year to date. So as of November 1st of this year, there was a total of $12,607.19 in the bank account. I'm gonna say this at this meeting and at every PTA meeting. If at any point any parent wants a copy of the monthly financial statements, they're more than welcome. All they have to do is contact me directly or contact you. As of right now, that's the only thing there is to report, just what the balance is, $12,607.19. Hopefully after the book fair, that amount will increase.
For sure. And for those who are wondering why we raise PTA funds, Darlene, can you talk about some of the things that the PTA has contributed to purchasing or helping with financially at the school?
Sure. The PTA has helped us with purchasing air conditioners for some of our classrooms. They've helped us with purchasing books for our classrooms, different kinds of materials that were needed, whether it was literally paper for our copy machines, chart paper, items in the classrooms that teachers can use for students. Our PTA has helped us with raising funds for, we've done a lot of fundraising through our book fairs, through our readathons, and we've been, really, really fortunate to also have support with our field trips. So not only paying for field trips, but also making sure that students who weren't able to afford a field trip would be able to attend, so that, all students are able to participate. The PTA has also helped us with when we had children wearing school shirts regularly, supporting families who couldn't afford that. So we've been really, really lucky. And actually on our PTA website, we actually have, a lot of the different things that the PTA has done over the years.
Awesome. Yeah. And as we're always thinking about different events or activities that we want to do and why we're pushing to raise money, it's because we're trying to support these kind of initiatives. And we can always think of new creative ways to use our money that we're raising, and sourcing the money in different ways. We are a Title I school, which means that a big majority of our families and our students come from low income working class communities. And so we have a special task as a PTA to think creatively about raising money, right? It's not just like having a bake sale and trying to raise $5,000 in a bake sale. It's not in our cards. It's not the way that we can source money. So we have to get a little bit more creative and be thoughtful about what we're asking of our parents and what we're able to give back to our community. All right, cool. Thank you, Helen. Thank you, Darlene. So hopefully we'll have some more report back next month on the treasurer's report. So the next thing we're going to go into really quickly, because we're running a little short on time here, is we're going to go into the SLT representative elections. So basically, for those who don't know, the school leadership team is a body composed of both parents and faculty from the school. And so there are a couple of our elected SLT members here on the call tonight. Does anyone want to talk about what the SLT does? Somebody who's an SLT rep right now, so people can get a scope of practice.
Hey guys, it's Christina. I am a representative on the SLT, and it is something that I did last year as well. It's something I highly enjoy and I encourage parents to get involved with. We meet as a group amongst teachers remotely, so it's on Zoom, and we discuss the curriculum and how to get more equity amongst students and how to get our numbers higher in both math and reading. So we think of the problems that we're facing with remote learning, how we have outreach, and how we can get our numbers higher since we're not really doing standardized testing as much. What does that look like? We've changed like the scale of how we're grading our students and what type of feedback we're looking from our families, and their emotional well-being has been really brought to the top of that discussion. And then we also talk about things that are happening amongst the school, like diversity of bathrooms and like initiatives of like the playground. So that it's a wide range of topics that really are community related and school related. And I just encourage you all to get involved because it's really good, and it's all adults, working for the school, and parents for, it's for the better of everyone, for the future of Star Academy. So it's really good if you're a preschool parent to start now young, early, or if you're just, a fifth grade parent and just want to get in the last say as what you could do better, even for the younger grades. We would really appreciate that. So join, and if you have any questions, I'm always happy to answer.
Thanks so much, Christina. And so, yeah, so everyone, the SLT meetings are open to everybody. Everyone can participate all the time. You don't have to be voted into the SLT to participate, but to be a voted in representative of the PTA means that you're kind of holding a higher level of responsibility. You're trying to get to as many SLT meetings as possible, as well as PTA meetings, so that you are really a representative of the parent body, right? We're not just voting you so you can be, in there and have your own opinion. Is like you're representing us. And so when you think about that, take on that responsibility and figure out too, I'm also a member, but I would challenge all of us on the SLT to think about how we can further engage our parents and poll our parents and get more feedback from our parents, and bring that to the conversation of the SLT. So we have 2 additional positions that are open for the SLT because we have up to 8 representatives that we can have. We have 6 currently. So we wanted to see, we'll take nominations from the floor. If you're interested in being a representative on the SLT, not just participating, but being a representative, we're gonna take those nominations. If there's more than 2 people who are nominated, we'll take it to a vote, but we'll see how we do here. So is anyone interested in being on the SLT? Or being a rep on the SLT? And Darlene just put in the chat, the next meeting is December 21st at 5 p.m. So you can nominate yourself, you can nominate someone else, you can do a nomination in the chat.
So I have a nomination, and I don't know if she got nominated last time, so correct me if I'm wrong. Is Anna on the PTA call?
Yes.
I would like to nominate you. I know you come to our SLT meetings and you really contribute, and I think it would be great to have you as an actual member.
Thank you. I accept that nomination. Thank you, Christina.
Awesome. So Anna, just for the minutes and for our records, what's your last name?
Cyprus.
All right. Dessipris.
Yes.
Awesome. Ashley in the chat nominated Dina. Dina was already voted into the SLT. So Dina is the SLT rep already. But Ashley definitely giving Dina the extra boost. So we have the only new person that we're thinking of is Anna tonight. Is anyone else interested or want to nominate someone else? Ashley, you nominating yourself? I saw the hand raised. There we go. So
We do have,
Ashley,
sorry, go ahead, Sean.
yeah, no, you go for it.
No, Pearl Medina, she did say she's also interested. She did it through chat as well as, I guess Ashley raised her hand. I'm not sure what you just said.
So we got Ashley, we got Pearl, and we got Anna. All right, so let me go start writing this out because now we got a little bit of a vote that we have to cast here. So I'm gonna do a poll for the votes. Give me a second here. Any other nominations? They can come in now. And Pearl's last name is Medina, right?
Yes.
Yes, Pearl Medina.
All right, cool. All right, so we'll put out the poll. The poll is gonna get activated on your screen. There's 3 people nominated. You can vote for 2 people. Okay, so only vote for 2. Don't vote for 3 because then you're gonna make it complicated. Only vote for 2. And then whoever gets the 2 that get the most votes will be the reps that we elect. Is there anyone else before we close the nominations? All right, cool. All right, so let's see if this works. This is my first time doing a poll in Zoom, so we'll see. All right, where'd it go? Oh no, I typed this whole thing and it went away. What happened? Wait, hold on. Let me try this again. Hold on. I gotta rewrite it. Give me 1 second.
So while Sean's doing his vote, now is the time to just think about any questions you have because the meeting's gonna come to an end in a few. That if you wanna ask after the vote or in the chat is now the time to do it.
And Brenda, you mean just questions about anything at all, right?
Yeah, anything regarding
Awesome.
today's
Anything.
conversation, because I know Pearl just mentioned something about what she said about a non-perishable box that we could probably give to families as well. So if you guys have any questions regarding anything that was discussed tonight, you could just let us know or just start thinking about it.
Yeah, I was thinking about a non-perishable box. Depending on what we do for the Thank Our Lucky Stars. I'm not sure how the breakout rooms are gonna go, like, or if there's gonna be food involved. Then maybe the non-perishable box could be items surrounding with that. You know, like, so if it's gonna be macaronis, maybe macaronis and pasta or something like that for families that either need it or just just want to have extra. Whatever the case. Like, it could be 40 boxes, depending on how many I mean, of course we'll need people to volunteer and stuff like that, to put it together. But they do it in the girls club, and it's a great idea.
All right, cool. Before we keep going, I got the poll working, hopefully. So remember, if you are a principal, you can't vote. And if you are not a parent of a star child, you can't vote. Parent or guardians only can vote. So let's go and see if this works. Again, you're voting for 2 of the 3 candidates here. So let's see if this works. Y'all see that? There we go. Okay. All right. So go ahead, submit your votes real quick. Oh, this is cool. I can see like the percentage of votes coming in. We needed this for the presidential election. We needed to do Zoom votes. All right, so we got 80% of the vote in.
Rating you're doing. It's great.
So we got a couple more. There's like 4 more folks that have not voted, but that might be because they are TNS parents or the principal. So I'll give just another 15 seconds or so for folks to cast their votes. So go ahead. And if you're having any logistical issues, let us know in the chat. All right, cool. And let's go ahead and close that. All right, so I'm gonna share the results here. Let me know if that works. Is that working? People seeing?
Yeah.
So we voted in Anna and Pearl for the SLT reps, the final 2 positions. So those are the 2 additional SLT reps. So we'll get those folks on the list. Thank you so much for participating in that. And we'll get that in the minutes as well.
Dina didn't get the poll. Dina, if you'd like, you can send a private message to Sean or I think Marina's the other co-host, right? And they can, so you can send a private message to them and they can count your vote. Or vote on your behalf, I should say.
All right, cool. So as it stands, those are the 2 folks, and we'll get the other votes in manually here. We're counting the ballots. We got to count every ballot. Count them all. All right, cool. So that's the business that we had on the agenda. We started already kind of going into some of the Q&A period. We like to get these meetings done in an hour. We're a little over an hour, but we are slated to have it up to 90 minutes. So I don't want folks to feel like we're going to cut the conversation short, but definitely when you're making a comment or asking a question, try to keep it to 2 minutes or less, just so that we make room on the floor for everybody. So any other thoughts, comments, questions? I know we kind of tabled the conversation with around what Darlene was reporting on earlier with the opt-in process, if people had any questions about that. And we were bringing up some more ideas around the Thank Our Lucky Stars event. Anything else that people want to contribute?
I wanted to ask a question to Darlene real quick. Nothing to do with what we're talking about right now, but I wanted to ask for the survey that said if we wanted our kids to get tested at the school by whoever it is that comes in to do the test for COVID. Do we have to do that on a monthly basis or one time is enough? Because I did it in October and I was contacted to do it again. So I just want to know if I have to make that a monthly thing or is it over?
Sorry, I'm on mute. Once you sign the consent form, it's good for the entire year. You don't have to do multiple consent forms. Were you contacted by somebody from the school?
Yes, it was Tanya.
Okay. So yes. And were you able to let her know that you did submit one already?
Yes, we did. She even told me what date mine was for.
Oh,
the one that I did previously, but I mean, it's fine. I just wanted to know if we are going forward, if I have to continuously do it, like keep it in mind that I have to do it every so often, or if that was like one-time thing.
It's a one-time thing.
Okay.
And I should also say, I'm glad you mentioned this, that the testing right now is mandated for children in grades 1 through 5. Pre-K and kindergarten children will not be tested, will not receive COVID testing.
Okay.
That's DOE policy.
Would we, I mean, I know that the results are personal, but if anyone comes out positive, I know that if it's 2 or more, then, it becomes an issue. But if you do get positive results, do we get to know that you did get positive results within the ones that were tested the day of?
Yes, I would be notified that there was a positive test result, and then the Department of Health would come in and the testing and tracing team would come in immediately and start working to find out and do an investigation of who this person had contact with. And then they would kind of go backwards to make sure that all of those people were made aware of it. And that really happens with just one case. And I would report to the entire school community that we did have one positive case. If there are two positive cases, all of the things that I just mentioned around the Department of Health are also put into place. But then if it's two children from the same classroom, that classroom would be shut down and quarantined for 2 weeks. All of the children would go into remote learning. And that would be the process if there was a positive test. Fortunately, we've had one random testing so far as a school. It was obviously in the month of October. So we do anticipate another one in the month of November. We had 0 positive cases for the month of October. And there were around 15 to 20 people that were tested, students and staff. Everyone on staff volunteered to be tested, by the way, which was very encouraging.
So Michelle just wrote in the chat, she said, for the testing, is it random each time they come? Isn't it random each time they come?
Yes, that's a great question, Michelle. Yes, it's random every time they come. They provide us with a list the day of or the night before, and we use that list and we test everybody who's randomly selected. We also allow any adult in the building who works for the Department of Education who wants to be tested is also tested, which is what we were doing. Some of our kitchen staff requested to be tested. Some of our custodial engineers requested to be tested. So we allowed anyone who wanted to be tested to do so. One thing I want to say that's really important is that it's more powerful for the random testing the more consent forms that we have, because the random sampling is a sampling of 20% of the forms that we have in the school. And so it's really a sampling of the people who allowed consent. It's not a sampling of everybody in the school, which is why we're strongly encouraging people to sign consent forms, because the more we have, the more of a positive impact our random testing will have, because then we'll really be able to get a sense of whether or not 20% of our actual community is being tested is going to be a larger number if we have more consent forms signed. And it's also, I just want to say, it's the test that is at the bottom of your nose. It's not the one that is invasive and feels like it is touching your brain. Somebody, I think Brenda asked that question last month, and it was really important for families to know that it's not the test that was happening months and months ago, where it was just really invasive and kind of made you gag a little bit. It's more just like a little rubbing circle of the nose. I did the testing myself, and I experienced it when we did with the kids. Some of the teachers told the children, you're about to get your nose tickled, and some of them were laughing before the test even happened because they were so excited to get their nose tickled. Moving on later in the year, from what I understand, in February or March, they're going to be moving to the test with saliva. And so we're looking forward to that, because that's even less invasive than the nasal test.
Sorry, something else. Does it impact negatively on the school that parents don't fill out the form or say no to the form?
It doesn't impact the school negatively, but the Department of Education has indicated that if a parent does not refuses to sign the consent form, or if their child or if they don't want their child to be tested, that they can request the parent do blended learning. I have not seen anybody enforce that rule yet, but we have been told that that is something that is a possibility that we should share with parents.
Thank you.
There was a question in the chat as well. Are we having an additional town hall before the break? I'm assuming the big holiday break, if there's another town hall scheduled or slated.
Do we mean the Thanksgiving break or the December break? We will definitely have a town hall before the December break. I wasn't anticipating having a town hall before the November break. But if there's a pressing concern and people feel like they want a town hall for a specific reason, I'd love to know why, and then I can address it for sure directly.
I saw some new information released by the governor over traveling over the break, and that's the reason why. And I just was wondering how the school was going to plan accordingly to that.
Okay, thanks, Pearl. I totally understand. That's a great question. So during our last town hall, we talked about the governor's statement. I read specifically like the rules around which countries people are allowed to visit and not have to quarantine when they come back. And there are only 31 countries that's allowed. And so pretty much any vacation that anyone is going on, it's very likely that they should quarantine when they return. The governor has made it clear that people should quarantine for, at least, 14 days, or they can quarantine they can come back from where they left, come back to New York, take a COVID test, from the time they arrive back in New York. And then on the 4th day of quarantining, if they get a second COVID test that is negative, then they don't have to continue their quarantine. I kind of made that kind of clear during that meeting. I am going to post that on Class Dojo as well. So it sounds like, do people think I should think about having another town hall right before the Thanksgiving break to kind of remind people and just have a talk just about vacations and quarantining and health and safety? I'm more than open to hearing, people's opinions, so for sure.
So I just have one question. Maybe you guys discussed it in the town hall. So if families did go on vacation and they weren't remote, they were hybrid, they would remote learn those 4 days while quarantining?
Absolutely. Anytime a child has to quarantine, they can continue remote learning the entire time. Anytime if a child is absent, we're very fortunate now that we can have them engage in remote learning from home. And so that's always an option if a child can't be physically present in school.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Pearl. We also dropped the link in the chat for that town hall that happened where we discussed a lot of that stuff for sure. Also, too, I feel like in the coming weeks, we're going to kind of see some new developments around the pandemic. We've already seen some, businesses getting closed early again, schools closing in different counties around the country again. So I think, yeah, definitely, if that happens in New York, what is the percentage again? How many people citywide have to be, what's the case percentage and how close are we? I think we're getting there, right?
3%.
Like over
right
the course of
now,
a week or something like that?
I'm not sure if it has to be for an extended amount of time. I think from what they've said, as soon as, Ryan, maybe you know better, I think it's 3%.
Yeah, it's a 3% 7-day rolling average. The governor can come in and decide to keep schools open. So right now, I think our 7-day average is about 2.5%. So like it's getting there. And I think this is, to make the pitch about COVID testing, please sign the consent forms, get your kids COVID tested. Any negative test helps keep schools open. That is, it drives down the percentages and ensures that you don't have COVID and aren't giving it to people too. So yeah, and I will say, our kid got one of the random tests last time around, and it was fine. She's had, I think, 3 or 4 COVID tests now. We get them frequently, and the one at the school was the easiest one. And on top of that, it was the school administering it, not her parents taking her to get one. So it was, as a parent, it was nice to put some of that responsibility on somebody else. So if, I had a question earlier. Can we volunteer our kids to take the COVID test when she's in? I know it's supposed to be random, but you said about like staff, taking it if it's available. Like anytime the testing people roll through, I would love if my kid could do that. But yeah, the original question was a 3% 7-day rolling average. I don't think mathematically we can get to that 7-day average until like about Thanksgiving hits. But I think by then it's likely the governor and the mayor will announce something related to schools shutting down, indoor dining or other parts of the city that aren't school related. But yeah, technically it's a 3% average.
All right, awesome. All right, we're coming to the time to depart. I know it's sad. We like seeing each other's faces, but just some final reminders. If you didn't already, put your email in the chat. If you wanted to volunteer for any of the ad hoc committees that are coming up, or if you wanted to participate in any of the ongoing discussions around the mutual aid fund and all that kind of stuff. Our next general meeting is going to be on December 9th at 5 p.m., December 9th. So make sure you mark your calendars for that. And that will be our last general meeting before the end of of 2020. And then we'll meet again back in January 2021. So December 9th, and remember, Scholastic Book Fair launches on November 23rd and runs all the way till December 6th. Any final announcements that I missed or points that people wanted to make before we close?
I just want to
People ready
thank
for
you
dinner?
guys. Thank you, PTA Executive Board. This was a great meeting. We really appreciate it. And the last thing I want to say is I just want to thank our PTA Executive Board from last year. Ashley, Jenny, Maria Herrera, Thomas Harrell, Sean, thank you so much for all of your hard work and all of the support that you've given. And we are so excited for our new PTA, but we also want to just thank and honor our previous PTA for just being there for us and supporting our school. So thank you, old guard, and we welcome the new guard.
Thank you so much.
Sure. Thanks, y'all. All right, cool. So we'll end it on that note. Great meeting tonight, y'all. Great seeing everybody. Hopefully we'll see each other soon and we could do some more social events and talk about all that good stuff. But we'll definitely see y'all on December 9th. Have a great night. We'll see y'all soon.
Guys, have a
Bye.
Stay
Bye.
safe, everybody.
Bye. Thank
Stay
you.
safe.
Bye.
Stay safe.
Yeah, wash your hands. Okay.
Brenda, I'm gonna stop the recording for you.